Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to VA Universe. I'm your humble host, Victor, bringing to you another amazing content. But before we proceed, can I have you to press on the subscribe button and smash the juicy bell to be notified anytime I upload a new video? Today's video is for education and entertainment purpose only. So due diligence must be taken before you invest in any investment, especially the stock market. Why? Because it's kind of risky. So let's talk today about electric last mile solution. They just merged with Forum 3 merger. That's what we'll be talking about today. Ticker symbol ELMS. The headquarters is in Indiana, US. So electric last mile, what do? They manufacture Class A commercial electric van. That's in the small sector, the commercial tiny little sector. So if you are aware or if you've been watching my video, I did a video initially about the merger of Forum 3 and Electric Last Mile. If you didn't catch that, it's right up here, so check the video. It's a very nice video where I break it down why they were merging. They already have a definitive agreement and now they are trying to come together to get to NASDAQ. The merger, as a matter of fact, was very successful. The ticker symbol changed from Forum, so FIII, to ELMS, and that was on Monday, June the 28th. I already talked about this in my PATRON group. I explained why they were merging, what's the action plan, because very important, what's the action plan. So I have all this information on my PATRON group. You can, check it out. We talk about stocks to buy, when to buy, technical, fundamental analysis, and most important, we talked about risk management. So consider joining the PATRON group. So again, electric last mile solution. So now that they've already merged, what exactly is my take? Well, my take is that this company, it's a good company, and there is massive production starting in Q3. That's in the fall, which you're going to hear direct from the CEO, Jim Taylor, will break it down, why this company is not a competitor of General Motors or Ford. They actually fall on what is considered as the last sector, the Class 1. Which is an empty sector right now, so they have very less competition in that sector. So my take is you can hold it for long term, but as a matter of fact, I've been holding this stock for over 6 months. So to me now is take profit, and then a little bit of it, I will hold it for long term. And my average was between, $10 to $15. So I lie down around the 12. So it moved over $12, so I sold some to buy new growth stocks, which I recommend on my Patreon. There are good new growth stocks that are trending right now. So that's my take on that. But why don't we hear from the horse's mouth? The CEO, Jim Taylor, will tell us why do investors have to reckon with electric last mile. So let's go. To know and understand which stock to buy, which is fundamental analysis, to also know when to sell the stock, which is technical analysis, plus one-on-one phone call with me and a portfolio update, join my Patreon group. Link in the description below.
Let's bring in James Taylor. I call him Jim since I've talked to him for a number of years, and I can call him Jim Taylor. He is the CEO of Electric Last Mile. He joins us from the company's plant in Mishawaka, Indiana. It is the old Hummer plant. Jim, you guys now own the plant. How soon will you be able to ramp up production, and when do we see the first ELM vehicle?
Yeah, Phil, it's great to see you again and talk to you this morning from Mishawaka, Indiana. Yeah, we start hiring literally today as we ramp up from our transaction on Friday. And initial builds probably be this August for our pilots, but we'll be launching production this fall from the plant.
Jim, you were for a number of years an executive at General Motors. You know how competitive this business is, and you know that GM, Ford, soon Rivian, as well as other automakers will also be coming out with electric commercial vehicles. How do you stand out in that market, realizing just how competitive it's going to be over the next year?
I agree. There's a super competitive market coming now forward in the EV space, especially with GM and Ford's huge announcements for their commitments. But we have a different approach to this, Phil. Let me go through a few of those for you. First is we are a pure play commercial electric vehicle company, meaning we're not in retail and commercial, strictly in commercial space. That's different than the others. Second, we're launching into an empty part of the market, white space, down in the electric van, so-called Class 1. No other competitors announced from the legacy manufacturers or the new EVs. And third, we have a different business plan, a different approach to our product. We'll be using existing, reliable hardware platforms, parts from an existing OEM that's already in market and running today, allowing us to get to market much faster, but also at a much, much lower cost than the other EV startups. So all in, we have a different business plan. It's a unique approach.
But what's similar, Jim, to other EV startups is that you announced your SPAC, I'm not sure how long ago, 4 months, 5 months ago. That's when EV SPACs were red hot. You could not find anybody who would not be like, yeah, let me put some money in these guys. Now you look at what's happened to Lordstown. Right. Nikola had their issues earlier this year. How do you convince investors and people who are going to be buying your vehicle that you're not the next Lordstown, that you are not going to have the same issues?
Sure. Well, part of that is our different business approach, that we require much less capital. We have a break-even point much earlier. And frankly, our plan from day one has been very, very conservative. Our volumes, our market share, our approach, using an existing plant, using existing products. So our overall risk is much, much lower than the other entrants in this space from an EV standpoint. And so we think from that standpoint, our shareholders have a much better opportunity. It's never guaranteed, of course, for a very strong return on their investment.
Jim, do you sense that skepticism that has turned in this market when it comes to EV startups? I mean, do you hear from some people, let's be honest, that yes, they're saying, I'm not exactly sure. What do you hear back?
Yeah, there's no question. I think back to your last question, Phil, we hit it just at the right time, coming out last fall, raising our capital, and then going through the fourth quarter and first quarter to get our final approval. So obviously, we're very pleased to have obtained our cash, executed our closing. I'm glad we're not starting a SPAC today, for instance. But the feedback we get is, honestly mixed. Look at it this way. With GM announcing going across the board, Ford, other customers, FedEx, large U.S. public companies announcing their transition to EVs, I think that the positive part is the space has overwhelming demand. So that's good for all of us. There's the expression, rising tide lifts all boats. And so having more people in this space brings all of the supply community to the table as well. But no question, there's been some challenges in a few of the SPACs, as you mentioned. I think as long as we stay focused, stay conservative, and stick to our business plan, we're going to be fine.